This week on Tech Trends, educational learning platform Naija Kids makes learning fun for children using gamification. And there's my conversation with B. Oladipo, a business and management consultant on Nigeria's broadband penetration. We'll give you more details shortly. Remember, this is the program that takes you on a ride in 25 minutes to seek out innovation and creativity that are unique to Africa. I am Olayemi Odunuga. Welcome to the program. The widespread adoption of broadband and the continued advances in personal computing technology are finally making it possible for the collective creation of an online world on a realistic scale. Naija Kids, an educational technology startup based in Lagos, is helping children fall in love with learning using games. Even though the startup is using gamification as an alternative to the traditional method of learning, the mobile app is built around the Nigerian school curriculum, going further to prove that games can serve as an educational tool. These three sisters are on a mission to make learning fun and engaging for children by merging it with games and technology.
Welcome to Naija Kids. Today we will be playing Naija Kids games.
Founded about 5 years ago, Naija Kids, an educational technology company in Lagos, has developed an online learning experience to keep children engaged and motivated during learning.
Parents are not the same. They suddenly can appreciate digital content. Schools are not the same. They can appreciate digital content. It's no longer a nice to have. It's something that we must have going forward. And they realize that it's not enough to have online content. It needs to be engaging, because after 20 minutes, you have to have something that is engaged. And suddenly we fill that gap, that having engaging content. A lot of schools realize now that they must always plan for digital. It's no longer just having interactive board tick, having laptops in the classroom. They must plan for those content. So suddenly people have tasted of the cake. They can't go back. So for us, it's only positive. The other wonderful thing is that suddenly international opportunities are opening up. So people want to come into Africa and they're looking who are the players in Africa that I can deal with. So they're coming looking for us. It's gone of those days where I'm looking for people. They're coming looking, they know they want to come into Africa. They wanted to come into Africa. They've seen the challenges with Africa, but they still want to come. The pandemic helped them, bring that in the front burner. We don't have everything going. We have light issues, we have affordability of internet, affordability of devices, but now it's something that people want to solve.
Using fun interactive games, they aim to boost children's desires and ability to learn by not limiting education to the classrooms.
Is that your final answer?
And because songs and games are powerful learning tools, they use them to teach academics, values, culture, patriotism, and entrepreneurship.
We started in 2018, and when we started, we didn't really have a lot to go on. So in terms of content, we have, as of today, we have over 200 games. We have games in terms of the Bible, in terms of the African heritage, we have for academics, we have for values, because as Africans, values is one of the things that is very important to us. And then we also have for entrepreneurship, because, money talks.
Even though Naija Kids uses games as an alternative to the traditional means of learning, the app is built around the Nigerian school curriculum, going further to prove that games can also serve as an educational tool. Another thing they are intentional about is showcasing the good about Nigeria and Africa to the world.
Since we decided we're going to go into education, we said we're not just going to do it African standard, we're going to do it global standard and give, from an African perspective, let them know that when it comes to Africa, we're a nation of proud people and we have things to be proud about. So that's actually the motivation. And then when we started, in terms of images, they were such ugly images of black people. I'm like, oh my goodness, where did this come from? So we started creating our images, and so, you know, telling them that no, the average African person, our head is not like this. We are not Indians, we look this way. We have so many different skin tones. We're proud, you know, we're very cute.
We want to showcase the children that are doing awesome things. We want to showcase the awesome parts of the continent. So when we do things, we don't only do academics, we also showcase some of the things that are Africa. So we showcase our wins. We have this game called Who Wants to Be a Brainiac, and it's showing all the success stories of Nigeria, all the things that Nigeria are first in. So children are always surprised. So you have something to boast about, to say, oh, did you know that Nigeria was the first continent that won, you know, the first Olympic medal? Did you know that the first woman that wrote a book was a Nigerian? Did you know that the first person that won a beauty pageant was Nigerian? Did you know that we have so many firsts, you know? So we also tell a different narrative, and that's what we're trying to do, not just Africa to Africa, it's Africa to the world.
When learning is made fun, children tend to remember what they've been taught. And so at Niger Kids, they try to use characters that the kids can easily relate with.
We started with Timmy, Chichi, Lola, and Jamal. When we started with them to kind of represent the three major tribes in Nigeria. And then, you know, as well as a name that other children can easily pronounce. And then with my team, we had a bit of back and forth over the images. So like this person is actually Chichi. When we started, they always looked for images that had like the pointed nose. Now the average African, I don't have a pointed nose. Some of them do, but we have a nice, cute nose. So I like seeing it, and I'm like, we have to give our children a sense of pride. So now today we have 10 characters, and so we have characters that are representative of people in North Africa, people in South Africa, people in East Africa, as well as people in West Africa, because we are about the African child.
Their road to success wasn't an easy one. Like many other startups, funding was the biggest hurdle they faced.
Honestly, it was difficult. So when we first started, we used, you know how the typical startup starts, you start with bootstrapping, and that's what we did a lot. So we did a lot of personal funds. I'd worked somewhere, so I had a little egg nest, which was depleted quickly, and then it was now like, this bootstrapping was going to get you in there. But a lot of investors didn't want to touch EdTech because they didn't feel that we had done the traction that they expect. They want things to happen fast, but we're like, it's really a slow cycle, especially when we're going through schools. So a lot of the investment was really more of family and friends. And then when we decided to start pivoting to include corporates, then we had, you know, the traction that was keeping the pulse afloat.
The founders believe that by including technology tools, children can have access to digital resources with visual and audio support to make them understand and visualize complex concepts. This makes them more engaged in classes and helps teachers get fast feedback on their work.
That ensures the object will stay in place and function as intended.
High school students and their tutors in Cyprus have developed a prototype robot powered with ChatGPT artificial intelligence technology to harness and improve teaching experiences in the classroom.
Why did the chicken cross the playground to get to the other side?
Named Einstein like Einstein, but starting with AI, the squat robot created in a collaboration of 3 Pascal schools in Cyprus stands roughly the size of a small adult and looks like a sculpted version of the Michelin Man. It's powered with ChatGPT, a chatbot developed by US firm OpenAI and backed by computer giant Microsoft.
The first screen is a touch screen. It was designed basically to combine the movement with the brain. So it's a touch screen, and also it was like gonna be like a game, so kids can interact with him and see what Einstein was doing. Now the second screen now is directly connected to the brain with the ChatGPT. So you see actually here what the robot is recognizing before it sends the signal to the computer to change the voice. So the computer also is being used to change the voice of the robot. to sound like Einstein. So it's two things. It's ChatGPT connected through this device here, and also you have the voice commands that pass through the computer and changes the voice. So you have like a more original experience rather than just a small device. So it's a collaboration of a lot of technologies together.
A screen for a face tries to mimic human features with blinks and frowns.
Write your name, surname.
In a Northern American accent, it can tell a joke.
Here's a joke for you. Why was the math book sad? Because it had too many problems.
And guide the listener on how Albert Einstein's theory of relativity can be taught in a class.
You could try constructing a simple pendulum with a long string and a heavy object, like a weight or a ball. You can then swing the pendulum back and forth at different rates, enabling you to measure its frequency and period.
He doesn't have a favorite movie since it was before his time, he says, but he enjoys reading science books and spending leisure time with his violin. Teachers say the ultimate purpose of Einstein is to incorporate it into lesson plans.
The mission of the robot is to actually incorporate it into lesson plans, so teachers can actually visit Einstein and incorporate like a lesson plan or a curriculum to understand actually what Einstein was doing. And it's a very interactive experience. Students can ask him questions, he can answer back, or he can even facilitate to teachers to actually deliver a lesson more effectively.
He gave a demonstration of how AI can be adapted to the classroom. Albert Einstein's theory of time relativity, Einstein advises, can be explained with the movement of a pendulum relative to the gravitational field in which it is placed. According to members of the project, the experience showed that AI is not anything to fear.
From this experience, all of the participants, the teachers, the kids, even the school, they got to know ChatGPT. They're not scared of the technology anymore. They're not scared of AI. So they learn how to critically think, to solve problems, and it's a very good example of STEAM education. So we had a problem, we used technology, mathematics, engineering to solve an actual problem, which was how do you incorporate ChatGPT on an actual scenario in a secondary school education.
The European Union is considering legislation governing the use of artificial intelligence, although advances in the technology far outpaces lawmakers' efforts. South Korean company Petnow has demonstrated a pet identification app that they hope will act as a supplement or replacement of the microchips, tags, and collars normally used by pet owners. The Petnow app uses the fingerprint-like uniqueness of a dog's nose and a cat's face to identify their biometrics.
As humans have fingerprints, every dog and cat has its own unique nose print. So we use that as a pet ID, and our ultimate goal is to replace microchips. Because microchipping could be very invasive to pets. You have to inject needles to pets' bodies, but a lot of pet owners does not like that kind of invasiveness. So our app could be the solution of it. So all you need to do with our app is to scan a dog's nose or a cat's face and put your information in it, and that's it.
Petnow's Johnny Lee explains that in the same way that human beings have unique fingerprints that do not change over time, the muzzles of dogs and cats act in the same way. Using the Petnow app, dog and cat owners can register the face of their pets. The owner has an additional method of being notified if the animal is lost, with the pet being easily identifiable by whoever finds it via the app. The app is powered by artificial intelligence, according to the company, with AI features rapidly tracking the nose when the data is being collected. It automatically focuses on the center of the detected nose, taking 5 to 20 high-quality pictures automatically and sending it to the server to recognize the pet's biometric information.
The nose print is actually a unique nose pattern on the nose, so it does not change in time, or it does not change in color. So it's a pattern. So you don't have to worry about the nose print. And for the cat's face, Cats are known for self-groomers, so they maintain their facial contour all the time. So that's how we can use it as a biometrics.
According to the company, it currently boasts 98.97% accuracy. The company, founded in 2018, published a paper about AI-driven identification of dogs using nose prints in the IEEE Access peer-reviewed scientific journal in March 2021 and was selected as the best of innovation at CES 2022 in Las Vegas. The Nigerian National Broadband Plan 2020 to 2025 was designed to deliver data download speeds across Nigeria of a minimum 25 megabits per second in urban areas and 10 megabits per second in rural areas, with effective coverage available to at least 90% of the population by 2025, at a price not more than 390 naira per 1 gigabyte of data. As of February 2023, statistics from the Nigerian Communications Commission's official website puts broadband penetration at 48.49%. My guest, B. Oladipo, a business and management consultant, discusses the feasibility of the plan as well as the possibilities of the 5G network.
If you add all the terrestrial and the satellite service providers that we probably have everywhere pretty much covered. But that doesn't translate to penetration in terms of usability of broadband services. And of course, depending on where people are located, the kind of access that they have also is dependent on what the individual service providers have in those places. So coverage, access, penetration, those are three things that you can use that you need to consider when you talk about internet access and broadband access.
Now, in March 2020, President Muhammadu Buhari launched the second Nigeria National Broadband Plan with a target of achieving 70% penetration by 2025. But as of December 2022, NCC says the penetration stood at 47%. So is the target still realistic, seeing as we have missed other timelines?
Well, is it still realistic? I can tell you yes, but that now depends on what exactly it is we do, and if we're really so focused on achieving those targets. There are so many terrains in Nigeria that are difficult to reach, and that might hamper the 100% penetration that we're talking about. There's still so many issues that have gone on that service providers are battling with, and those are things that will still hamper if we reach the targets. So it's not just about making the pronouncements. It's not just about signing the plan into law. It's also about what are the specifics that we do in order to get broadband access or broadband penetration, broadband access to everyone across. The question you want to ask yourself is it possible to have everyone covered? Yes, the answer is yes, but is it feasible at this time? I'm not sure that it is for now, because there are still so many hurdles to cross, both by the government and also from the part of service providers.
Now, talking about feasibility and hurdles, do we have the infrastructure to facilitate this penetration?
Okay. Do we have 100% of what we need? The answer is no. But are we better compared to when we started this journey? The answer, of course, is yes. I remember I used to run a backbone IP company many moons ago, and I know that we struggled to provide things for ourselves, infrastructure that should be plug and play. Once a service provider comes into the market, we struggled to provide those for ourselves. But today we're not at that point anymore. There's so many things that have been done, and so many strides have been taken since then, and we have a much better environment. However, there's still so much to be done. I'm not sure we've completely solved the right of way issues to get fiber across the country. I'm not sure that we've completely solved the social issues with putting infrastructure in the different parts of the country. There's so many service providers today that still have issues when they want to put in. So let's look at the wireless people who provide wireless, so your mobile companies and all the people who provide wireless access. Today, if they want to put in, even with a number of states having agencies that are meant to support service providers in putting infrastructure, we still have issues with, let me call it in Lagos parlance, omoniles, still having to collect tolls to ensure that before people can get to put in their access. Then also you have infrastructure companies who are still battling with connecting the different things the different infrastructure that they're putting across the country. So there are still hurdles, there are still issues, but we're much better than where we were like 10 years ago.
Well, you've taken me to my next question. The national standardized right-of-way fees of 145 naira per linear meter and the dig once policy should have been, implemented by now, but it seems only a few states have keyed into the scheme. How is that derailing the overall objective?
Okay, so we've been on this right-of-way issues for a very long time, and for me, I think it's something that can be solved, and can be solved if we look at. So there are two things involved. There's the business aspect of it, and there's also the social service part of it. So each state has jurisdiction over their territories, and I think the way to solve this is to be able to create a bucket where we can put all of this right of way into, and then make every state see what's in it for them in ensuring that this works. Some states, it's pretty easy to get it done, but for most of the states, it's not that easy. You have to go through a lot of hurdles to be able to get right of ways. So it's not just the pronouncement, but it's also how do we work it. But I think this can be solved if we're able to create a vehicle that can warehouse this right of way and then administer it based on the amount of territory that is being covered by each state. We can solve this. We can solve this by looking at it from a business point of view rather than just a social point.
So now let's assume that we're able to achieve the FG's 70% broadband penetration. What would be the implication of this?
So many. So now implications in terms of how this will be useful to us. There's so many things that are, so many possibilities that could happen. We've talked about, we keep talking about artificial intelligence. We talk about moving everything and all of that. So those are going to be more possible. I do a lot of work with SMEs, and I know that with proper broadband penetration, there's going to be a lot of drive into getting SMEs to do more with what they, and SMEs are the backbone of the economy of any country, and because that in terms of aggregate, there's so many of them, and then their capacity to employ more people than is there than the large corporates. So we have a lot of economic stimulation, and then also people will be able to be more creatively engaged than they are today. Today we have people who work for large tech conglomerates around the world who reside here in Nigeria. That will be more accessible, and possibilities around that would also be more available to people if we have more coverage as far as broadband is concerned. Also, we can be more creative in everything that we do. We're not just in a knowledge economy. We're not just in an information economy. We're in an environment where many things can be done if we have the right tools, and broadband will provide that possibility. Now, it's not just broadband, but that will be an enabling infrastructure if it is there.
Speaking about possibilities, we have 5G network and its rollout has brought a lot of excitement. What does this mean for us as a country?
If I have to compare between what we see in other climes and what we see here, we still are not there, even with the 5G. Talking in terms of speed, in terms of availability, and how fast we get things done, we still don't have that speed yet. But it's a work in progress. This is not bashing the service providers, but just saying what is out there. But I know it's progress. As we go on, I'm sure that things would be much better as they get a hang of the delivery of the service.
It's been an interesting and insightful conversation with you. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on Tech Trends.
Thank you so much, Olaim.
And it's a wrap on the show this week. Thank you for staying with us. Remember, if you're interested in keeping track of how tech-savvy innovators are crafting homegrown solutions using technology in the country, keep watching Tech Trends, because we will continue to showcase them for you. From startups to big techs and, of course, inventful thinkers. If you missed any part of the show, you can always catch up on the channel's CB YouTube account, where we have all of our episodes, and I encourage you to watch, share, and like your favorite editions. For Tech Trends, I am Olayemi Otunuga. I'll see you next time.